So, question for you. Do you want your tax dollars and the federal government to get involved with the biggest Ponzi's in the world? And yes, we're talking about Bitcoin and crypto. That's the subject of today's video. And in Federal Chair Jerome Powell's last talk, he was actually given a question. Hey, what do you think about crypto? Have a listen.
We're not allowed to own Bitcoin. The Federal Reserve Act says what we can own, and we're not looking for a law change. That's the kind of thing for Congress to consider, but we are not looking for a law change.
So that was Federal Chair Jerome Powell, and you can see he's basically like, we don't want anything to do with this thing. We don't want a law change. Quit asking. And he's been asked about this stuff before. He'll just say it's highly, highly speculative. I feel the same. I don't think the government should be buying this stuff up, nor do I want to buy this up for myself. I personally think this is all Ponzi's, and I've talked about this several times. However, there is a faction of the Republican Party, and may get larger, as there are more donations come in, that are really pushing for the government to have a strategic Federal Reserve of Bitcoin. It's Senator Scott and Senator Loomis. I want you to hear what they have to say about this stuff. I'll share my thoughts and I'll get yours as well. So have a listen to Senator Loomis here.
It doesn't discourage me because what Chairman Powell was saying is they don't have the authority now to own Bitcoin. I want to give it to them. I want our federal government to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve that can help back the US dollar as the world reserve currency, and then serve as a long-term savings account, thereby offsetting our national debt, which is over $36 trillion now. So my proposal would have the US purchase through other assets it already owns, 200,000 Bitcoin a year for 5 years for a total of 1 million, hold it for at least 20 years. And at the numbers that we project, that would accrue a fund that's worth about $16 trillion.
So there you have it. That's the plan, to buy 1 million Bitcoin. But for frank, I think this whole thing is laughable, but the sad thing is they may actually figure out a way to get through with it because, again, Donald Trump is president and you have all the Republicans pushing for it, and you have a lot of crypto money coming in to support said representatives and senators. Now, whether or not they actually understand what any of this stuff is or even care, maybe it doesn't matter, because as long as they're getting that money for those campaigns, they keep pushing it. The thing that really bothers me, though, is, well, I mean, there's a lot that bother me about this, and I'm sure you guys really understand this is all pretty nuts as well. But the sort of rhetoric that they're using to sell this stuff. And I want you to sort of listen to it and have a listen to this.
Absolutely guarantee will be done is watching your legislation get a vote, pass the banking committee, and we're going to fight to make it a law in the United States of America, setting Bitcoin free here at home. Free at last. Free at last. Thank God Almighty. It's free at last.
So that was Senator Tim Scott evoking Martin Luther King when talking about Bitcoin, and basically sort of giving you this feeling that Bitcoin's all about freedom, these kind of things. My personal opinion on this stuff, and I just think it's so crazy. Basically what we're talking about is, if you got in early to this thing, right? If you're the creator of Bitcoin, and for all we know, Satoshi, I think that's the person's name, is sitting there behind, pulling the puppet strings, that kind of thing, to try to manipulate the price to, go to the moon. I mean, it already is there, but even go further, I guess. And the crazy thing about Bitcoin is we don't even know who invented this dang thing. We call the inventor Satoshi Nakamoto. Whether that's the real name, who knows? But that particular person, I guess they have nearly 1 million Bitcoins of this stuff. And if indeed that person does exist, it's worth $91 billion, their holdings. There's actually a dude recently named Craig Wright who was trying to claim that he was Satoshi, and I think he's trying to lay claim to this money. And it turns out he's been lying this whole time. I'm just trying to show you the kind of world that we're in. And the way I think about it is, it's kind of like a company that's trying to sell, IP and contracts to the government. And obviously, if the government gives them the contract, they're going to make a ton of money. Now, does Bitcoin solve all the problems that we want it to? I don't think so. But to be really frank, it is a Ponzi. So I guess if the USA does it first, then we have to convince all the other countries to join the Ponzi as well. This is just the crazy land that we're in.
And his appreciation for Bitcoin is that it's freedom money. It gives individuals their sovereignty,
Yes.
from the poorest person to Michael Saylor.
100%. Well, Cynthia, Michael Saylor ain't the poorest person. You can say amen to that. But
So they're trying to sell this thing to you as being freedom money. They have religious connotations here. You're rescuing the poor. But basically what this really is, though, is a bunch of tech bros who invented their digital Ponzi's, and they want more suckers to jump in. That's all this thing is. And then you got Vivek Ramaswamy. He's one of the Republicans. He was involved with pump and dumps before. That's how he made his money. Now he's partnering with Elon Musk, the master scammer fraudster. And supposedly Vivek's X account was hacked today, and he was promoting yet a crypto scam. He claims it was hacked, but who knows with these people?
the kind of rules of the road that are very wide. We need a wide pathway for Bitcoin to be successful here at home, and we need to make sure that things like taxation and regulation does not stifle innovation, is what you taught me. So we got to bring the hurdles down so that anywhere in America, the poorest persons do not have to climb a mountain to step over something.
Yeah.
Let's make it easy. And one of the challenges that we see at the SEC with Chairman Gensler, Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
And what's worse, they're targeting poor people again. You can see it very, very clearly. The other thing is when they talk about, complaining about the SEC, complaining about regulations, these kind of things, these people basically want a Wild West where these digital crypto Ponzi's can go out and scam as many people as they possibly can. They're going to let you gamble away all of your money. And sort of the arguments that they always say is, you're smarter than the government. The government's just a bunch of nannies, blah, 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 blah. Here's the truth, guys. The average American or the average person in the world really can't manage their money. Honestly, they will gamble all their money away. They will lose everything, and they'll end up being homeless. Now, I know that sounds really, really mean because, maybe you're like, Chris, me at home, I'm really smart with my money. I'm really fantastic. You're probably part of the, 0.5% who can do that, or maybe we'll call it 2% or whatever. The average person can't really manage their money that well. Seriously, they will gamble all of their money away. They'll get scammed by whatever scam bots on Twitter, etc. This is sort of why you don't want to make it easier for these scams to get out there. But, these people, the Senator Loomis, Senator Scott, they're all being paid by those crypto bros to push this kind of nonsense out to you. And if you don't know, crypto scams stole $5.6 billion from Americans last year, mostly older people. And this is just how it is, guys. I know it's a little bit mean, but Republicans, that's their base. People who are easily deceived, people who are easily scammed, people who are desperate. And so that's why they fall for these things. And unfortunately, that's their base. That's who they target. And now they're pushing crypto onto them. And more people are going to get scammed.
Is to be oppressive. We don't need a large paternalistic hand saying to people who grew up like I did, poor little people, you're too dumb to make your own financial decisions.
Yeah.
That to me is condescending.
Absolutely.
It is paternalistic, and it is dead wrong.
Yep.
We need to make sure that the rules that we create gives a great pathway for individuals to make their decisions.
And so what I find so fascinating when you actually listen to the political rhetoric coming, again, it's freedom. It's all about saving the poor people that you're going to use about religious connotations, get away from the government trying to control you, these kind of things. But it's actually interesting because instead of, say, quote, government controlling you, you're just letting businesses control you. That's essentially what we're talking about here, right? You're letting businesses profit off stupid people. You're letting people gamble, this kind of things. And when you talk about deregulations, essentially, it's the same kind of thing. You're just letting Ponzi's run wild. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of crypto bros that'll say, oh, Chris, you're so dumb. I got in early. Why can't other people buy the Ponzi? Because I need to make money. You're just trying to stop me from innovating and making money. And here's the thing. This is the main problem I have with this stuff is okay, so we're going to spend all of this energy on your Ponzi schemes. And what does it produce? I mean, seriously, what does it produce? All it does is build wealth for people who got in early. This is a Ponzi at its worst. And unfortunately, the way the Ponzi works is you have now Republican senators, representatives, and the President of the United States selling you a bunch of digital crap. That's all this is. And I just wanted to show you guys sort of the rhetoric coming out so you kind of know, okay, This is the kind of crowd that they're going for. This is what they're pushing. And that's what they're selling. I mean, when you listen to this stuff, they just talk about freedom this, freedom that. They don't actually really talk about the technology that much. And they'll talk about like, oh, we're going to save us from the national debt and we're going to save all these poor people. But like, average poor person on the street, they could give a rat's ass what this whole crypto nonsense is. They really don't care. But if you legalize advertising to them and you legalize gambling to them, and then you kind of throw it in there and like don't even give them a choice where all our tax dollars are going to whatever crypto nonsense, yeah, they're all going to be a part of it. And again, the crypto bros are going to be the ones who profit. I just don't think there's any way that this can end well. In my opinion, guys, and I actually really like technology, right? If we're going to develop technology, why don't we develop technology to have clean and sustainable energy and put our focus on that? Or why don't we develop our technology to have clean water for everyone? Why not? Why don't we have our technology to develop, hey, how can we, develop, food for everyone to where it's low cost, these kind of things. I mean, things that actually benefit people. The arguments that they'll make is, well, but Chris, we're developing these new Mickey Mouse coins, and Mickey Mouse coins are awesome because it gives people a bunch of riches. But like, guys, we're spending all this energy to develop money to make the rich, crypto boys more richer. That's essentially all this is. So that's my thoughts on this stuff. I mean, this whole thing is asinine, but I just wanted to share it so you can see for yourself the kind of arguments and rhetoric that they're using and who they're targeting, which makes it even more sickening. So thanks again for your time, and I'll catch you in the next video.